Hey, so yesterday we had the big announcement from the SSA about the COLA increase for 2024. So it'll come into effect very shortly. Um, what some people don't realize is that there are other numbers that have therefore been announced as well that are really relevant, not just the extent of COLA, which is important for beneficiaries who are receiving Social Security disability, but also those that are working and need to know how much they must keep their income under a certain level. That level changes. So let's go over that. That's SGA, substantial gainful activity. And just to refresh you, and we do have videos on SGA because it's super, super important for anybody who is applying for Social Security disability and is still working to some degree, or is already receiving Social Security disability or SSI and is working part-time. Okay. Because working part-time can be so great when you are disabled under the rules and collecting, but you can still work a little part-time if you're able and willing. So it's a great thing to have some knowledge on. And if you are going to do it, you have to be super careful and follow all of the rules. Okay. So SGA, let's see, is going from, it was $1,470 in 2023, and it is going up to $1,550 a month for 2024. So what this means is, for those of you who are claiming disability and working part-time, so you're still not able to work full-time, but you're working part-time, you can remain eligible if you remain disabled and you are not earning SGA, you are not earning substantial gainful activity, which would defeat you for being eligible for that month and possibly for future months if you're earning over SGA. And that there's exceptions to that. So that is a topic for a different day. But so, all right, so we're getting, the allowance of an additional, what is it, $80? Yeah, $80 increase. So that's good. So if you get a little rate, let's say you were working part-time and you are close to the limit, you don't dare take an extra shift. You don't dare ask for a raise because that could tip you over and then you just ruined your case, right? But now you have another $80 to play with. So that might actually be possible. I generally, as a rule, with my people, I don't suggest that they flirt with the $1,470 for 2023 or the $1,550 that will be applicable for 2024, because very often something happens and they go over. Remember, if you are working and earning not SGA, but over the TWP amount, trial work period amount, you are putting yourself into a new phase of your claiming period for Social Security disability, in that certain protections will be gone, trial work period protections that you will be using up if you continue working over TWP, which is a lower amount than SGA. And we'll go into that as well, because trial work period is $1,050 in 2023. It's $1,110 in 2024. So that went up $60. And SGA and TWP are two very different things, but they're both really, really important. SGA is of supreme importance, but TWP gives you some protections in terms of when they can review the kind of work you're doing to see if you've improved enough to go back to some kind of job full-time, even if it's not that one. So in any event, SGA is the amount at step 1 of the sequential evaluation process. And we have a video on that if you don't know what the steps are when they're reviewing your case. The first one is the person earning substantial gainful activity? And if you are, you don't have a case. They will not take you to step 2. They will not do the medical workup. They will not determine if you are medically disabled. So it's really important to not be doing that, not being earning over in 2024, it'll be $1,550 a month in that part-time work you're doing. Okay. If you are not, that means you get to go to step 2 and continue on with having your medical, situation evaluated, that whole big, long process. Doesn't mean you're going to be found disabled, but you're not going to be barred due to the amount of money you are clearly able to earn. Okay. If you are over 1550 when they make a decision, this is in 2024, or if you are at 1550, they have to deny you right then and there. Now, of course, if you're about to drop below 1550, I'd appeal it and show that it did drop below. There are other things that can come into play to help you if you are over SGA. There is impairment related work expenses. That's a whole nother topic, but those expenses, if they apply, can be subtracted off of your gross income for the month to show that you are actually under SGA. They cannot be applied to bring you under TWP. So that's a little unpleasant right there, but it's the way it is. There are other things that are more rare, like sheltered work and all that, but by and large, it's the IRWs, the impairment related work expenses, that can help. That would be copays going to the pain doctors, if that's who you see. That could be copays for medications that you need for your disability, or else you wouldn't be able to work. If you are self-employed, your income should not be what you gross. I mean, sometimes when we're self-employed, we get a 1099 from our client or our customer. Sometimes we don't. Well, a lot of work you don't. You just go and do the job. And then you report on your Schedule C or something similar on your tax return what your gross receipts were, but that's not the net income you're taxed on, right? You get to subtract out the business expenses, the cost of the goods that you sold, or the mileage it took to get to the jobs you did, or your cell phone bill because it's used for business, or your home office, right off for that. It's that net amount that from self-employment that is what is considered as to whether you're SGA that month. Now, of course, self-employment also has some rules about how many hours that are a little different because they know you could be managing a very, successful business, and management hours count as work time and of value. So there's a little few more tricks to being self-employed. But if it's not really managing a business, just going out and doing jobs, then it might just be strict self-employment income. And again, like when working part-time for an employer and keeping it under SGA, you also want to, for optics, if nothing else, keep those hours reflecting quite a part-time endeavor and not anything flirting with semi-full-time, because then the implication is just common sense. It might look like you could feasibly put in another 10 hours and be bingo full-time. I would add that if you are blind, your SGA is much higher. So you have far more opportunity to earn. I don't know why they treat disabilities differently like that, but they do. So the blind SGA in 2024 will be $25.90. They can earn a lot more money and still collect their disability benefits. And for the trial work period, theirs goes from, oh no, it would be the same. Sorry about that. Yeah, same. Let's see. SSI. You know how the amount for 2023 was 914 as a maximum for SSI? It's going up to 943. So almost a $30 increase. At least that does get affected by the COLA as well. Some things do not, though, with SSI, and I don't understand why. You may be aware that if you are gifted money, generally gets offset against your SSI, unless it's like a one-off, or receive other unearned income. They'll let you collect $20 of unearned income, and everything else gets offset dollar for dollar from what you should be getting from SSI. That $20 exception has not increased in the 20 years I've been doing this. I don't understand how anyone can excuse it, and I can't understand why it's not part of the law that if some numbers are going to be affected by COLA and inflation, why on earth would that not be? The same is true if you're on SSI and you are working. Now, working, you get to keep more of your SSI. Despite the work income, it's like half as much of a loss. In other words, they give you, first of all, they give you a $65 exception. So the first $65 you earn each month when you're on SSI, if you're working, doesn't count to come off of the SSI amount owed you. And once the 65 is subtracted from your income, they take the rest of it. And for every $2 you earned, $1 needs to come off of your SSI that you would have been eligible for that month, which can result in an overpayment. That's a whole nother issue. And that $65 little exception has not increased with COLA in 20 years. I don't understand. And it's probably longer than that. I just, that's when I started getting involved in doing this kind of work. They give us an estimated average. This is a fact sheet that I think is good to have around for people like me. Estimated average monthly Social Security benefits payable in 2024, January, is expected to be $1,907 after the COLA, $1,907. This year it was $1,848. That's the average of all retired workers. Now, how about disabled workers? Let's look at that. Much lower. $1,489 was the average benefit for a disabled worker in 2023. In 2024, after the 3.2% COLA that we announced yesterday, it is expected to be $1,537. So yeah, it looks like disabled workers tend to have a lower PIA, primary insurance amount, than their retired counterparts. There's other numbers here. Disabled worker, spouse, and one or more children, widowed mother and 2 children. So they give a bunch of examples. I'm not going to go into those though, but I will post a link to this if you want it in the comments. Okay. So there you have it. SGA, you get a little more wiggle room because of the COLA. All right. And trial work period the same. And if you are working part-time as a disabled person collecting, you need to learn about SGA and TWP. It gets a little complicated, but you have to know about them so that you don't breach something and cause the demise of your own benefits through your well-intended efforts of working part-time. Okay. It's doable. And I love to see people successfully work part-time. It makes their quality of life so much better in terms of what now their finances are better, but plus a lot of times the mental aspects of getting out there and working a few hours a week. Sometimes they're doing something they like, and it's doable. So I think it's really great. And I'm so glad the SSA encourages it, but you have to be super careful and follow the rules and stay on top of things. We have playlists about that stuff. So do feel free to learn up with them. Usually there's a reference link, particularly more so these days, that you can then read further after you take a listen if something interests you and you're thinking of going back to work. All right. Anyway, I will talk to you later. Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.